So good evening everybody, and welcome back to another film. It's going to have been a few weeks since I put a film out. I'm actually away on holiday this week, and time just gathered pace a little quickly on me recently, and I didn't manage to squeeze one out in the time when I would normally get a film out. But at the moment I'm in Suffolk, and I've come to a little nature reserve which is renowned for its wet woodland habitat and wildflower meadows. I've been here once before, a good number of years ago, and I did bring my camera on that occasion and got one or two shots of the meadow, but it was the wrong time of year. But right now we're in the middle of July. It's currently 8 o'clock in the evening, and I've got about an hour and a half left of light. So it's a beautiful little spot, very quiet, secluded, and not much foot traffic at all, certainly not at this time of night. So I'm quite hopeful. The sun, you can see over there, it's getting nice and low, and already a lot of the vegetation is taking up some lovely backlit appearance. Now, as per last film, I've come out tonight with absolutely no plan. I'm just out for a pleasant evening walk, just hoping to feel that creative spirit come alive and hopefully see some nice subjects that are worth the attention of my lens. Yeah, really nice little spot. Eerily quiet. Just the sounds of distant wood pigeons calling in the tops of the trees. A few minutes ago, past a little wet area, little wet flush with some hides overlooking it, and there was a sedge warbler calling, but no sooner did it sense my presence approaching the hides that it went very quiet. There was a chiff-chaff singing a little bit in the distance, but we can tell we've got into July. All the birds now are almost done with the breeding season, and not a lot of point to singing any longer, which is quite sad. I always feel this time of year. It's like life just disappears out of the wood, and then you've got that middle period between summer and autumn when there's not really a lot going on, and that's right where we are now. But it's a really beautiful place. It's so quiet, and I wouldn't be surprised if I come face to face with a muntjac deer or a roe deer at some point. It really is that sort of place. That's why I'm keeping my voice down as much as possible. But the meadow that I came to photograph, it's been a few years, it must be 3 or 4 years since I was last here, and it's all the wildflowers are still there, but they're completely overgrown, overshadowed by common reed, which is the reed that grows in reed beds, big reed beds typical of Norfolk and Suffolk, and I don't know whether that's a management issue or whether they've allowed that to happen, but I'm not really sure if that's the only wildflower meadow in this reserve, because if it is, I've pretty much had it. But I'll keep walking round, following the footpaths, probably get lost in the process, but it's really nice, enjoyable, tranquil experience nonetheless. You can see here motorbikes in the distance. We're not too far from the nearest road, but small price to pay for such a lovely little spot. So I found a nice open meadow at last, lovely big wide open space, but by the time I've got here, the backlit opportunities are virtually gone. The sun's just setting over the trees in front of me. There's a nice little bench here, so I'm going to park myself on there. It's so warm and humid here, my glasses are actually steaming up. But typically what I didn't factor in to this visit is that where I live in the northwest of England, the plant life is a couple of weeks later on than what it is down here in East Anglia, and the knapweed and a lot of the grasses have actually set seed and finished, so I have got my work cut out a little bit this evening, but I'm not going to let that spoil it. I'm sure if I get my bag off and start wandering around, relax, I'll probably find something. So I'm back on the move. I've mooched around for about 10-15 minutes. the light is fading and I didn't find anything, and there becomes a point where you're walking around with your camera in your hand and you've walked so far away from your bag that you've got to go back and get your bag just in case someone comes along and decides it's the birthday. So not that I'm suggesting that the folks in East Anglia are like that necessarily, but I'd wandered a good 100 metres or so away from my bag and it was out of sight, so back, packed up, and I'm back on the move again. So I think what's happening here is I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place. I'm desperate to relax and try and be creative about the location, but the timing, as I've said, is not perfect and I'm losing the light, so it's becoming a bit of a challenge and less of a relaxation session. And going back to what I was talking about in my last video about planning, stifling creativity, had I planned, I would have probably known that all the plants here had gone over. But this is where often the magic images are made, when you're least expecting them. Right, it's got really late. I've done a full circumnavigation of this entire nature reserve and I found absolutely zero, but to be fair, that's what it's all about. It's about coming out with an open mind, and if you find nothing, you find nothing, and on this occasion I almost did, but I found something finally. But I've come full circle and ended up right back where I started, in this big open meadow. So right down here you can see I've got the camera set up. There's lots and lots of yellow loose strife, and the reason I didn't do that before, just turn that back on, the reason I didn't do it before is because I always associate yellow loose strife with a garden plant. Now it does grow native in the UK, but certainly up where I live in Lancashire you just see it in gardens, and I think that's why I was put off. So I've taken the shot, but I will talk you through it. I'm just going to be careful here. You can see this. Just here is a roosting peacock butterfly, so always be careful when you're moving around in tall grasses and vegetation at this time of year, because you never know just what's in the ground spending the night time. So this is the flower here that I'm photographing, and I'm focusing through this one here and that one there, and that's the resulting image. Now one of the things I don't like about it, I'm not too keen on, is the dark line at the top, and that's because that hedgerow there, and I haven't got time to look around for any better specimens. And to be fair, when I was here before I did have a look to try and find something when I was back here last time, but this is the best I can do. Now the whole point of having this one here in front of the lens is to give that nice ethereal look. So it's an out of focus flower that's just helping to soften the base of the main spike. So I'll just sharpen that in so you can see it. It really is quite nice, and all the hairs on the stem are really standing out well. It's almost backlit, and it's a sort of shot that I do like. I've actually taken it already because the light's failing so quickly, and I didn't want you to have to sit through me focusing and shooting and focusing. So what I did do, I did a focus stack, and the focus stack I've done, so if you imagine the flower spike sort of vertically, I've focused on the front edge of the petal, I've focused about a third of the way into the plant, then I've focused the midway point right where the stem is, and then again I've used the second third, if you break the flower up into third segments again, and then finally the back end buds with my final shot. So I think that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 shots in total as the focus stack. And the reason I've done that is simply because I want to get the whole of the spike in sharp focus, and I don't want the distractions of the trees in the background. And if I did stop down to f11, say for example, to try and get the whole spike in focus, those trees would have been really distracting. In fact, I will just take a quick one and I'll put it on immediately after the one that's been done as a focus stack, so you can see hopefully there's not too much light loss and I can just get that shot in before the end of the night. So I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to put the image on now and say thank you all so much for watching. It's been a bit of a difficult one this tonight, so I'm sorry about that, but with fading lights, you've just got to do what you can in these situations, and this is the way it's ended up tonight. Leave some comments below, let me know what you think of the images, and don't forget to subscribe if you're not already subscribed to the channel, and I'll see you all again in the next one. Bye for now.